my doctor was like, you need to eat some meat, and I couldn't bring myself to do it.
You have a black in you.
Yeah, no. Trigger warning for anyone who's watching this. I'm gonna drop the R-bomb. At a party, and I was like intoxicated, and which like you're vulnerable, like more vulnerable, and like he'd walked past me, but he like walked very slowly and like looked me in my eye. And, like,
wrestling is a pretty dangerous one.
Yeah, it's a dangerous one.
Yeah.
So the fake faint of heart.
No, it was like a serial relationship, a bit codependent because of neglect situation in my home.
If you don't take the honey from the bees, does the bees?
So vegans are more hectic.
Yeah, it's the final form.
It's the
That's
fully
the OGs,
fledged
isn't
Super
it?
Saiyan. It was kind of like a keeping up with the Joneses situation. Like, we didn't actually have money.
I think this podcast is gonna go for five hours. There's so many terms that she has.
I experienced quite a few sexual traumas. I wanted to be like Deborah Patter, or like carte blanche, hardcore investigative journalism. And then colonialism, capitalism that stemmed from that is very much like accumulate to be great.
Yeah.
And we would just go back to like holding hands and living in a forest. And, like, a lot of more than just rape, like coercion, manipulation, cheating, and gaslighting. Group of friends, all of those guys, like the Hout Bay guys, are suffering from.
You might not put on your smiley face. You look so serious.
Have a rest.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cut Podcast, the best podcast in Cape Town. Yeah, we said it. And full table. Yep, full table. Special guest on my right. I'll let her go for it.
My name is Cheri. I am a lot of things. Primarily a writer and a psychology student. I'm also a dancer, and yeah.
You're holding back because we spoke earlier. We'll get into that.
You'll have to prompt me. Give me prompts. Then you'll get the goods.
But yeah, so just to kick us off, can you start off with how you were late to the show? Let's
How I was late to the show.
Yeah.
So I got stuck in my garage, which is not a great place to be when you're reasonably hungover because it's very hot. And my remote deprogrammed, so I could not get my car out, and I was late, which is very annoying because I live about 5 minutes away.
5 minutes away?
Yeah.
And it's like, what's the degrees today? Today's like 40 degrees, 36 degrees.
I didn't check.
I read an article that Western Cape is the hottest place on earth.
At the moment?
Yeah.
Wasn't it one of the hottest places in USA somewhere?
I think so.
Yeah.
Take that title.
Today.
And it's going to be 50 degrees somewhere in Western Cape, yeah.
Crazy.
Thank God I'm not
I
there.
checked the weather as well, and I looked at Almanas, like that place was like,
It's on heat.
it's on heat. Because like it ranges from like yellow to orange to like super red.
Global warming is a lie.
Hey.
Ooh, climate denier.
That's what they say.
Don't get me started.
I was being sarcastic with that. But now that you brought that up, let's go. What do you have to say about global warming?
I have like regular bouts of eco-depression, which because I just get so overwhelmed by how, I swear,
Yeah, go for it.
royally upbeat we are in terms of maintaining below 2 degrees. And the fact that there are people that deny climate change, and especially people in places of power like government, Donald Trump, big oil companies. Of course, it's benefits them to deny because obviously that's how they continue to keep making money. So I'm very passionate about the environment and eco-friendly living, and yeah, it's one of the things that really bothers me. Just like the amount we've had, I think it was what is it, like a mass extinction, like the most species to ever become extinct, like in the past 100 years. Yes. Don't quote me on that.
I love when someone throws that one in. Because you do know for sure there's someone nerd out there.
It's going to be like in the comments.
Right there, just to check if that's fact or not. But at what point in your life did you kind of have this view on global warming?
Since I was about 16, I was like a massive hippie child. Like I used to go walking after school. I grew up in Hout Bay, which is very naturey. And after school, I would just go walk in the mountains, which unfortunately I can never do because of femicide in this country.
Femicide?
Yes.
Yeah, gender-based violence. Yeah.
That was the first time hearing that.
I'm telling you, there's a lot of terms that we need to...
Get ready. Take notes. Take notes.
I said turn off the phones. But anyway, so please do continue.
At least it wasn't me. Yeah, so I used to go walking in the mountain a lot and like smoked a lot of weed and was just like, nature was like my safe space. Like when things weren't good at home, like I would just go there and I was vegetarian and then became vegan. I watched like all those kind of movies, like Forks Over Knives, they're gone on, Earthling, the rest have gone out of my head. But
Earthling is a pretty dangerous one.
Yeah, it's a dangerous one.
Yeah, really like...
Not for the faint of heart.
No, I'm like a huge empath, highly sensitive person. So like seeing all that stuff just like broke my heart.
Oh, yeah, you probably strong. You probably want to. It's like they show you the animal cruelty. And like skinning the animals live on, they're showing you how they get
based on that, or it's just like people like
eat based
hunting.
Like they're eating.
No, not normal hunting, like
just
factory farming and like agricultural industry basically. And how that links to the environment is obviously because agricultural practices are one of the main contributors to CO2 emissions.
So it's a dangerous documentary. I couldn't watch it, to be honest.
Yeah, watch it and cry.
So you say it will change our perspective of how
it made me a vegetarian for
I also was
a few
thinking
weeks.
it make me turn a vegan.
Oh yeah, tell us your experience about that vegan.
Quick question, what's the difference between vegan and vegetarian?
Vegan is no animal products. You get like very strict vegan, so it's like they won't even buy leather. So it's like no milk, no dairy, no anything derived from an animal, even honey.
What? That's from a bee though.
Yeah,
the bees happy to produce.
They're happy to produce, but like what's taking honey actually is like stealing from them, and they replace it with a sugar water, and basically that's why there's been this huge issue with bees getting diseases, and bees are the reason that we have food. Like we need them to pollinate.
Cross pollination.
Yeah, 100%.
So if we don't take the bees from the if we don't take the honey from the bees, does the bees use...
The bees stay they stay healthy.
Oh, okay.
And then the system continues as it should. But when we do, we disrupt basically that very important cycle. Yeah.
I mean, just going back to the vegan thing, even eggs, you can't have eggs.
Yeah.
So vegans are more hectic.
Yeah. It's the final form.
It's the final, it's like higher.
It's the final
the highest. Fully fledged Super Saiyan.
Super Saiyan, that's what I'm saying. Final form.
Yeah.
So vegetarians can eat dairy products, right?
Dairy. Yeah, you get lacto-vegetarian and ovo-vegetarian. Lacto, they eat dairy, and ovo, they eat eggs. Pretty sure.
But do they all get along?
It's like levels of restriction,
Nah, there's like a big superiority complex in the vegan community, and it's so like antithetical to the whole purpose of trying to make people eat less animal products. It's like if you don't do it perfectly, and if you buy a secondhand leather jacket, like you're the worst. And I think it's very restrictive, it's very supremacist, it's very classist, it's very...
Elitism.
It's elitist, and it's bullshit. So I was like reasonably strict vegan, and then my body didn't actually agree with me, funnily enough.
Being vegan or changing?
Being vegan. Made me quite ill, actually, which I hate to say that because I don't want to put people...
Yeah, I was about to say, that's
I don't want to put people...
So your body wants a chicken and stuff.
My doctor was like, you need to eat some meat, and I couldn't bring myself to do it.
You have a black in you.
Yeah, no, that's damn true. Yeah, I couldn't do it. So, but my doctor forced me to have bone broth. Because then it's like the same as meat, except like I don't actually have to eat meat. Yeah, have you ever had broth?
Never,
It's disgusting, but
What
it's
is it?
full of nutrients. It's basically like after they slaughter the animal, they boil the bones and like all the good nutrients from the
soup.
marrows.
You call it soup.
Yeah,
No.
but it's basically a soup.
is soup,
Yeah,
bro.
they put noodles and like
Yes, and
chicken
some-
meatballs.
He said, I don't know, I don't want to get the wrong term. It's like those bone nutrition, you know, when you suck the bone.
Yes.
right?
The metal.
It's juicy. And the
Oh, yeah,
bone
that.
is juicy. That's
It's
Yeah.
deep, it gets deeper.
Yeah,
I'm
no, of
telling
course
you,
not. That's the same thing with
I
all
think
these
this
things.
podcast is gonna go for 5 hours. There's so many terms that she has. Yeah, so yo, we didn't even start yet and we're already off with it. Okay, just tell us more about yourself and everything, like how you grew up and things like that.
So, I grew up in Camps Bay, Clifton, like
Okay.
Lani vibes.
That was after Hout Bay.
This was before Hout Bay,
Oh,
when
so you
when
were-
my parents were together.
Okay.
But it was like, interesting because like it was kind of like a keeping up with the Joneses situation. Like we didn't actually have money, but like
Okay.
my parents lived in such a way that it appeared that we did, and we were like, so we moved a lot because the rent didn't get paid, and we moved.
From Camps Bay.
Yeah, we moved in Camps Bay a lot.
Around in Camps Bay.
like 5 or 6 different houses. And then my parents split when I was 12. And then my mom and my siblings moved to Hout Bay. And that was an interesting time, as high school always is, I'm sure, for everybody. But yeah, like a lot of profound experiences that shaped my life. I had experienced quite a few sexual traumas. And that kind of informed my. Okay, I'm gonna jump around, but I've always been a writer.
Okay.
And throughout high school, I had like these very hectic, traumatizing experiences, and then after that, I studied journalism. And I wanted to be like Deborah Patter, or like carte blanche vibes, and do like hardcore investigative journalism. And then kind of you get into the media industry and you realize I realized like writing for the newspaper, it's like you have to be totally objective.
Yeah.
So there's no opinion. Like you can't like put your opinion unless you want to write like editorial opinion pieces, vibes. Yeah. But I realized like the news vibe wasn't for me because I'm very opinionated and I just stating the facts bored me to death. Then I started working for Visi magazine, which is a design, architecture, decor. And I kind of like went to a couple places in my media career, and eventually, long story short, I decided I was going to immigrate to London because I have a British passport. My mom was born in Scotland.
Nice. Scottish yard.
Yeah, Scottish blood in me. And then I was going to immigrate, and COVID happened, and then I was kind of.
So this is recent, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
So COVID happened, and then I lost all my jobs. I was unemployed. I was basically just me and my thoughts and my boyfriend in my flat. And I had an awakening, so to speak, that ties into like the healing that I was doing around my traumas that happened when I was younger. It prompted like a very deep healing journey for me. And that's when I realized that my passion is to help people who have experienced what I have. So basically survivors of gender-based violence and sexual trauma. And for me, fitness was a huge role in what helped me remedy and heal the relationship that I had with my body, which was really bad because of like being bullied, being neglected, having your autonomy and your agency taken away, being objectified by men. And I kind of just realized that was my calling, and that's what I really wanted to do. Like writing it's just something that is innate to me, and I'm good at it, and it would always be there, and I could incorporate it into whatever I wanted to do. But I realized like just working in media in this country or anywhere really, because I came to realize London, the media industry was much the same there in terms of like being underpaid, not being a lot of opportunities, not really being able to do the work that I wanted to do, which was like work for Refinery 29, which I later found out is like toxic.
Really?
Yeah, they have like, as with all big industries, they have white supremacist structures in their management, and some of the writers of color that I follow spoke out about how they'd been treated there. And anyway, so basically I realized like all my dream, my dream for writing in those environments was a ruse, and like I wouldn't really get those opportunities and I wouldn't be happy once I got them. So that's why I was like, let me pivot. I want to be a holistic health coach that helps survivors cultivate a life of pleasure and ease and freedom and trauma hygiene, essentially. So then I started studying personal training and sports nutrition and psychology at UCT. The psychology is at UCT and the others is at Trifocus Fitness Academy. And now I'm here.
That's quite a lot to go through. But just to start from a point you made, going back all the way at the beginning of your story, keeping up with the Jones. Just curiosity to know, like, what was the situation there with the parents trying to do that?
That was, what was the situation? My dad is a very interesting person. So he's a mechanic / engineer / ex-pilot. And,
so it sounds like this is where the traits come in.
Yeah, he's very intelligent, but he's also a bit of a narcissist. And, I think they just weren't very good with money. Like, and I don't know, maybe I can't explain as to why. I just think like, people we're in this capitalist society, like we want to appear like we're doing really well.
Yeah, I
financially.
think that's more of a better question to ask is like, why do you feel that, people love to, keep up with everyone?
I wanted to say, like, especially in today's society, like it's gotten worse, like really worse.
100%. I think first and foremost, it's colonialism's legacy. Capitalism that stemmed from that is very much like accumulate to be great. Yeah. And if you don't have X, Y, Z, then you are not good enough, because like your worth is intrinsically tied to what material successes you can achieve or accumulate. And yeah, I think that's the way the machine works. I think if all of us, if we didn't care, then we would just go back to like holding hands and living in a forest. Like,
they're taking you back to the hippie days.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, I think because we are creatures of community, it makes sense that, we want to feel accepted. We want to have a sense of belonging. And in a capitalist society, the way that you have that is by buying brands. That brands essentially have an identity. And when you buy into that brand, you are affirming your identity in a way that you feel, that is recognized by the community. So yeah, that's basically why I think anyway.
Okay. And then high school. I'm just going through your story, step by step. Yeah.
What about high school?
You said some experiences there.
Yeah. So high school, I was like a serial relationshiper, like a bit codependent because of the neglect situation in my home life. I looked for love and validation in relationships. And so I started doing that from when I was like 13. And the first boyfriend that I had, we were together for 2 years and intermittently, trigger warning for anyone who's watching this, I'm going to drop the R-bomb, but he raped me a couple of times.
In high school?
Yeah, when I was between 14 and 16. And at the time, like the discourse I didn't have the language or the understanding to know what happened to me. Like, we weren't taught about consent or, just boundaries or how you feel matters. Like, everything was how I'd been conditioned is that interactions in heteronormative relationships with men are centered around their pleasure, their desires, and whatever they want is kind of what you want, even if it's not what you want. So yeah, that was that experience. And then we broke up, and that's when it kind of like dawned on me, like what had really happened to me for those 2 years. And like a lot of more than just rape, like coercion, manipulation, cheating, and gaslighting.
Well, this is all what age 14 to
16.
14 to 16.
Yeah.
I swear some age.
Huh?
We got the same age, around the same age.
He was older. So when I was 14, he was 16. So that's actually statutory rape.
Oh.
Because I
was
was
about
a
to
minor.
say, I mean, because flipping for a 14 or 15-year-old to have this type of skills under their belt, like this person, like all those like manipulation, coercion, like.
Yeah, he was like
16
16 to 18.
And for you, do you think that he knew what he was doing, or do you think like he was also like, experimenting? He doesn't really know if he's forcing or not,
No, I think he definitely knew what he was doing. No is no. Please stop. Begging someone is, I'm sorry, you can't tell me that you don't know what you're doing. Although I will say the patriarchy is hugely damaging to men.
Yeah, that is true.
And I'm sure that the way that he was raised, and his dad, who was also trash,
I was also thinking about his background, but there's no excuse to things like that. It's just that it's crazy how like it's like a domino effect. If this going to happen, it's like as you that you're saying you felt neglected, so you felt certain love. Then he probably had, I don't know what it is, but it's crazy how it all kind of
100%. We're products of our experiences and our conditioning, for sure.
Yeah, in most cases.
Yeah. So I will say definitely like the toxic masculinity is the reason that he is the way he is, and the group of friends, all of those guys, like the Hout Bay guys. If you're listening.
Yeah, I was about to say that. When you said the Hout Bay guys, it's
probably
the Hout Bay rats. As they like to call themselves.
The rats.
The rats.
It's the funny thing is, like what you said, it's my first time actually hearing about the Hout Bay rats or anything like that, because I mean, if we also from like, we're more into like the southern part of so we're always thinking like probably, Camps Bay, Hout Bay is chill.
Everything is chill,
you know what I mean? There's no really that type of thing.
Yeah. Well, you're not missing anything by not doing it. It's actually a blessing, so much self-love. Yeah, so what was my point? Patriarchy conditions men to be in a way, and it creates a culture, and men feel each other and encourage each other. And that's literally why we have a gender-based violence epidemic in this country and around the world.
And you said you guys went to the same school?
We went to the same school.
So like when it came to reporting and things like that, it's obviously when you're at that age, it's much tougher and things like that.
Yeah.
So
the first person I told was my best friend. I was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder and depression because of it, and I told my best friend. She took me to the school counselor, and he referred me to Rape Crisis, which is an amazing place that supports survivors. If anyone needs, I highly recommend them. It's free as well. And yeah, he'd been expelled by that time because he's just total trash. So at least he was no longer there. And in terms of reporting, are you asking like if I reported it to the police?
Just the situation, like how you handle it. You handle, because I could imagine you trying to, like every day going to school and you have to meet your worst nightmare, like type of thing. So I just wanted to understand
is it something you handle on the same time period, or it's something you actually came across like when you were older and you realized actually that was rape, or is it something that you're able to handle at the pretty much time
And
period.
especially at your age.
At
also.
the age, yeah. Because I mean, you were 14 and you're 16, you know, and for you to actually think, okay, this person raped me, or you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's-
I literally, I knew like in the moment while it was happening, like, and afterwards, I knew that something was really wrong and that I'd been hurt, but I didn't have the language or the understanding to describe or explain what happened to me. So it was only afterwards, I think I was in matric or grade 11. Yeah. So this happened like grade 9, grade 10. And then it was like only afterwards when I'd like really been struggling with depression and PTSD that I realized, and like obviously I learned a bit more. I don't know like what the catalyst was for me to know like, okay, that's definitely what happened. Although when I read back in my diaries,
you've been keeping a diary since
yeah,
then?
been
Okay.
keeping a
That's
diary.
pretty cool.
It's sort
It's
of,
probably
I'm a
gonna be-
writer.
That whole diary will probably be on your book.
I love how you just threw that one in the right thing lately. So you just know, just a reminder. I write.
Yeah, I still keep diaries today, but I have like stacks of them.
imagine?
Definitely will be going into my book one day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in my diary, it's I stated like I write him a letter in my diary. So I think I had an understanding, but what happens when someone dismisses your experience, someone that you love, you repress that, because like you're going to ignore what you did to me. I'm going to ignore what you did to me as a coping mechanism. And then only after we'd broken up and I no longer had that mental chain, I was like, became awake to everything that he did to me. And yes, but by the time he'd already been expelled, so he wasn't in school. But I actually saw him the other day at this party that I went to.
When was this?
It was the end of last year.
Oh, shucks.
yeah.
That's the first time you saw him since matric, or?
I think so. No, I'd definitely seen him. I'd seen him a couple times here and there, but whenever I do, it's like, it's just like this very like cold feeling in my body and discomfort. Yeah, I feel
That gut feeling, that, you know?
100%. And I do sometimes, like the last time I saw him, I felt particularly triggered because we were at a party and I was like intoxicated, and which like you're vulnerable, like more vulnerable. And like he'd walked past me, but he like walked very slowly and like looked me in my eye. I like because normally when he sees me, he like bolts the other way. And that was very like, I felt very disconcerted by that. But I think after that, and like at the episode that I had, because it really is like an episode when you get triggered, you kind of revert back to
those moments.
Yeah, you revert back to the space of feeling super unsafe. And anyway, but since that time, I feel like now I've have a new layer of healing where I like literally just don't care when I see him. So
it's crazy with being so like vicinity. You know, running into someone like that again.